What's up, everyone? The Arid Lord is back. Welcome back to another Walking Dead Season 10, the never ending season of The Walking Dead, the bonus episode review vlogs. This is for episode 21, episode 5 of the bonus vlogs entitled Diverged. The description for this episode is: at the lowest point in their friendship, Daryl and Carol come to a fork in the road and head their separate ways. Carol returns to Alexandria while Daryl stays on the road, each going into their own type of survival mode. I don't know if anyone's seen this episode, but this quite possibly is one of the worst episodes The Walking Dead has ever made. Now, everyone was shitting on the episode last week with Princess, and kind of her PTSD, like the stuff that wasn't real versus what was real. And again, I liked that revelation that she was hallucinating, that she was performing some of the actions that Ezekiel was. It was a cool, like, mini psychological trip inside of her head, and it involved the newest group that we're going to learn about in the final season, in season 11, in the Commonwealth. And they didn't focus on them too much, but we did get pieces of information, and it was interesting enough to have that focus because it felt new and refreshed. It felt like you were really confined. It gave off the feeling of confinement, and I reviewed all of this in my review vlog for that episode last week. Now, this episode, now again, last week, for that episode last week, I was willing to give it a pass and kind of be like, I understand why people might have some frustrations, but at the same time, I think the episode accomplished what it set out to do, and I didn't give it too bad of a score. This episode was just, it was terrible. Now, if, I love the dog, obviously, so you get a whole bunch of dog in this episode. It's a Carol and Daryl episode. Jerry's in the episode a little bit, although it's nothing significant. Like, this whole episode, nothing happens. Literally, you could skip this episode and you would miss nothing with The Walking Dead. Now, I'm shocked saying that because normally I find a few redeeming things, something in the episode that kind of, it keeps me grounded in it. But, like, there was just nothing with this episode, man. Like Carol's, like, she goes back, like, this is a couple episodes ago after Daryl and Carol had their big fight. And that episode, like, again, I didn't hate that episode where we have that Daryl flashback where he's with that girl, and then the girl leaves, and then Daryl and Carol have that big argument at the end. Like, that wasn't a bad episode, but, like, they wanted, like, a follow-up within the bonus episodes, but they didn't have a plot for the episode. Like, Daryl needed, like, here's how I can sum this episode up. They need space from each other. So Daryl stays out in the woods and collects parts for his motorcycle so that he can get the motorcycle to work. There's like a scene where he goes underneath a car and there's like a walker moving in the car and that's like shifting the weight of the car. There's another scene where he like wrestles, of course. They want to make it all nice and dramatic for you. Like he's wrestling with a walker and, he's trying to get his knife. Then he finds a switchblade on the walker. Because he gave his switchblade to Carol, and of course he doesn't have the means to do anything with it. And then Carol's trying to like make soup or something. Like she has this whole soup story she tells Jerry, or it's very bizarre. And then there's a rat. Jerry mentions that the rats or whatever have been eating some of the bread and some of the food. So there's a rat inside of her house, and the dog chases the rat, and then she sets a trap for the rat, and then she kind of lays in bed, and she's like contemplate again, like it's bringing up all of the Carol plot lines from earlier. Like, is she gonna leave? It's like the same thing that happened at the end of season 9 after the whole the kingdom fell, the heads on pikes, where she just took off. And then when she returned, she got put in the negative headspace and wanted revenge on Alpha. But at least that was, central to the plot of the frickin' show. Like, this... like setting a trap for a rat, making soup, and then just kind of talking about, oh, maybe I should leave. I don't know. Like basically ruminating on the argument she had with Daryl. And by the end of the episode, they kind of like they don't make up. They just exchange like a few words, like oh, like hey, like how you doing, blah blah, blah. And then they just there's like a wide shot, and they close the door, and that's it. Like the only thing that was decent, like the musical score by Bear McCreary, who has done the score of The Walking Dead. I mean, you talk about someone who's been with the show since the very start. Bear McCreary, he does fantastic soundtracks for The Walking Dead. Like every season, depending the group, they all have a different sound and feel. And they did release an official soundtrack a few years ago, but there are many unreleased songs that are not on the soundtrack, like that are unique enough that they could stand alone as their own track. Now, there is a great YouTuber named Be Claimed, which is a reference to the Claimed group from season 4. And he uses, I don't know what program he uses, but he rips the music from the show and puts it on his YouTube channel. And I've downloaded many of the tracks he's put up. So special shout out to him for doing that. So there is a good underlying track in this episode as they go about doing these random fucking frivolous activities. So that's one positive note, the soundtrack. But like holy shit, man. Like it's so disappointing because I'm very confused as to like what these bonus episodes accomplished. Like the first bonus episode really gave me the impression that there was going to be like a mini arc with these Reapers, with Maggie, and maybe the Reapers cause Alexandria some trouble. Like, you could easily have had all of this character building stuff with, like, a mini conflict that you resolve before season 11 so you can focus on the Commonwealth. Like, I don't understand why you didn't go that route. Like, Maggie has not been in any episode since the first bonus episode, so I presume she's going to be in Here's Negan next week because, you know, obviously she has a lot of beef with Negan, the whole reason she left, so I assume she'll be in next week's episode. But, yeah, man, I can't fathom, like, why they, like, and it's funny because I was just looking at an interview with Angela Kang where she said that this episode was actually supposed to be different, where they had like a whole bunch of short scenes and stuff, but they didn't think that the jumping back and forth would work. But even so, you're already jumping back and forth between two very boring plot lines. Like, even the Aaron and Father Gabriel stuff, like, yeah, well, that was some, you know, boring scavenging. At least they had that whole thing with that guy who was doing the Russian roulette thing. Like, that plot line towards the end was very interesting. And, you know, I'm kind of doing a review of all these episodes at this point. I am going to have a larger vlog, so just a preview. I will be doing a reaction video to Here's Negan next week. I didn't do a reaction video. I mean, can you imagine if I did a reaction video to this episode? I literally would have been looking at me, staring at my screen, perplexed at what the hell I was watching. But I'm gonna try. I don't know how I'm gonna pull it off because I'm gonna be watching the episode on my TV. I'll see if I can get it to work. But I'm planning on doing at least a review, if not maybe a reaction to Here's Negan. Because I don't know if it's his last episode. Like, I might even do a preview vlog of like a preview vlog. Like, if you guys, you know, asking you guys, what do you think? Like, do you think this is gonna be his swan song? Because, you know, his character in the comics is not involved with the Commonwealth stuff, and this, as the season finale, as the official season finale of season 10, this could be your way of kind of booting his character off the show. Then again, I don't keep in touch with people. Have corrected me, like, what are you talking about? Jeffrey Dean Morgan's filming season 11. It's like, okay, well, great. Like, I don't follow any of the Spoiling Dead shit or anyone who fucking stalks the filming sites. Like, I don't follow that shit. So if he's filming season 11, awesome. Then I want him to be in the new season. Do not get me wrong. I don't want this to be his last episode because he's one of the biggest highlights of the show for me. He's my favorite villain in any medium. You know, back that, you know, that season 6, 7, 8 stretch, Negan versus Rick. I mean, that was some of my favorite content from the show, as much as people thought it, you know, it got a little clogged and, you know, all the bottle episodes and stuff. But still, you know, comic Negan, TV Negan, like Jeffrey D. Morgan is a fantastic guy, you know. Just so anyway, there's not a lot to talk about with this episode, Diverge. This might be like my shortest review for an episode ever. It's just pathetic, man. Like there was like you could have done this plot line with Carol and Daryl in a whole bunch of different ways. You could have easily handled their characters. This whole woe is me, you know, we're having a lull in our friendship, and is Carol gonna leave again? You know, there's a scene where she like punches out the wall because like the rat is in the wall, and like it's not even clear like why she does it. If she's trying to find the rat, if she's just taking her anger out on the wall. Like there were other ways you could have done this. Like maybe Daryl and Carol go, here's a plot. Here's, you know, I'm gonna pitch a script, you know, because I am a writer in my free time. So I'll say, what if Maggie is trying to find the remaining Reapers that tracked her from wherever the hell she was doing her operation, and Carol and Daryl volunteer to go find these remaining guys, you know, that freaking crazy suicide bomber and any of the other people, and then they start having these issues, and obviously they have the fallout from the previous episode, so there's some weirdness, and they're like, oh, I'm going to scout this area, or I'm going to scout that area, and, you know, you're not going to come with me because we're not on good terms. And, you know, then you could have conflict. You could have them doing whatever random task to find the Reapers, finding themselves, and you could still have all of that looped into something that relates back to the greater good of Maggie. Like, you could have easily had that link back to the greater good and have it more central to something that's going on in the freaking show. You see, this is the problem because only 4 characters, Ezekiel, Eugene, Yumiko, and Princess, are the only characters that are part of the next arc. All right, they have been captured by the Commonwealth, and I don't know if they're going to be brought to the actual Commonwealth or they're just going to go to some other holding cell. But they're involved with the next stage of The Walking Dead. The other characters are not. They're just picking up the pieces of what the Whisperers did from a few episodes back in the, you know, the season, episode 16, you know, what was supposed to be the season finale. And so like nobody knows. Like even in this episode, Diverged, there's a point where Jerry's like, oh yeah, Ezekiel will probably come back, you know, just wait for him to bring back supplies. Like nobody has any idea what the Commonwealth has done, who they are, what's going on. And I mean, Eugene did tell them that he's been talking to someone on the radio. So I guess they know that there is possibly another group out there, but I'm just wondering, like, at what point does, you know, the Commonwealth soldiers, do they march to Alexandria? There is a very iconic scene from the comics of Rick, because he's still around at the time, Rick standing in front of Alexandria with all of the Commonwealth soldiers, like, lined up in formation near Alexandria. It's a really cool shot. I imagine there's going to probably be an episode where the Commonwealth, Mercer or whoever, whatever, you know, maybe it's Pamela Milton, the head of the Commonwealth, they might probably will visit Alexandria at some point, and you'll get that iconic shot. But the point is, there's not much they can do with the bottle episodes of the characters who are still at Alexandria because they don't know what's going on with the freaking Commonwealth. And you killed off the Whisperers, and they're done. And there's just no. It's just like little bottle episodes, and that's really what they were. I'm interested to see if this Here's Negan can redeem it. If his story, the backstory, obviously it's one of my favorite characters, so I'm hoping that we really get a good punch to this. I mean, The Walking Dead's coming back this summer. And they keep teasing these little scenes, like there was a shot of a courthouse or something today in the episode for Diverged. So they keep teasing all of these like modern images that are going to tie into the Commonwealth. And I mean, we've never had The Walking Dead over the summer. Usually the summer is when San Diego Comic-Con happens, and then the trailer for the next season drops. But obviously COVID's completely fucked everything over, and so The Walking Dead is no exception. So yeah. Again, like, there's not much to talk about with this episode. I gave you guys the entire rundown. It's a Daryl and Carol episode. They do random fucking activities to not think about the fight that they got into. Jerry's in the episode very briefly, and he kind of consoles Carol at the end. And, like, that's it. Like, I'm really gonna be interested to see Forbes reviews and reviews for this. This episode is gonna fucking tank, and I know it. Like, there's just no substance to it, man. Like, I understand, like, the visceral element you were trying to go for with Carol's, not getting over her mental block, or, even Daryl, kind of being that lone road warrior, and, not wanting to, reveal how he feels that he got in a fight with his best friend. Like, I understand you want to touch on all these points, but it could have been done in a different way. And, I pitched that Reaper plot line, and now it looks like that's not even a freaking thing, because the final bonus episode is going to deal with Negan exclusively. We're not dealing with these fucking stupid-ass Reapers. So, yeah, man, like, I just, I don't know. It's just ridiculous to me that, like, I can't, like, who the fuck directed this episode and thought, like, yeah, like, that's the episode we're gonna have? Because, again, every other episode in so far has had substance. Again, like, as much meandering as was going on in those episodes, you at least had, like, the first episode back, like, Maggie got to talk to the group, and it was like Maggie's catch-up episode. I'm trying to remember the other ones that we had. Obviously there was, like, the whole Daryl flashback thing, because he was looking for Rick. Like, that was almost a sequel to, right after the Rick thing with the, him blowing up the bridge and Daryl trying to look for him. So you had that angle. I mean, there was just a lot of different ways. A lot of different ways you could have done this. And I'm yawning right now because, tired. But also, the episode fucking put me to sleep, man. Like, I don't know. I'm going to have to give this a freaking... I think this is the lowest score I've ever given a Walking Dead episode. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Because it just... I don't even... Maybe it should get lower than that. Just, there was nothing, man. There was just so little. Again, I said the soundtrack was good. I respect them going after these visceral things with Daryl and Carol and trying to build off their character. But it was just... Man, if this was a way to hype up and tease that Daryl and Carol spin-off series... This was the worst way to do it. I'm just saying, if you want to, like, get new viewership for that once the Walking Dead main show ends, and, like, people are going to look back and say, hey, that episode focused on these two flagship characters, and it sucked. So, I mean, I don't know if they realized from a marketing standpoint, like, they needed to brand this well. This needed to be done well so that the spin-off series could be effective. And now, like, I mean, I'm not saying the whole series is going to fizzle once they start it just because this bonus episode sucked. But, man, like, just a lot of missed opportunities is really just all I'm thinking here. They could have done a lot more with it. I think anyone would agree with that. I hope you guys agree with that. And again, like last week's episode is infinitely better than this. Like, again, like... And also, Princess was a new character we didn't know anything about, so at least it was cool to kind of, like, dive into her character a little bit more. But Daryl and Carol, I mean, they've been in the show since the very first season, and there was no big development here. Like, they didn't even get anything resolved. They had a brief conversation where they just checked in on each other, and that was it. Like, they didn't even resolve the fight that they got in that put them in this rift the entire episode. Like, holy shit on a shit sandwich, man. Like, there was just no substance, no plot twist, nothing. Because at least the past two episodes, again, had the plot twists, like the freaking Russian roulette game with Gabriel and Aaron. Princess's, what is she seeing? Is what she's seeing real? Is what she's seeing fake? Like, that whole freaking thing, like, there was at least an interesting component to these past episodes, man. But this was just like, it was almost like B footage. It's like, okay, here's footage of Daryl getting parts for his motorcycle. Okay, here's footage of Carol collecting vegetables to make a soup. Like, it was just like B footage film that they thought would be okay for a bonus episode. And again, there are limitations, okay? And you can clearly tell that some actors, and I'm going to bring this point up in my larger review of all these episodes, but you can tell there are some actors who are just not in these episodes at all, who probably, like, don't want to do anything yet because of COVID. I'm not sure when they're filming season 11. I think it's, like, now, because they need every character that's not in the bonus episodes to come back, but, you know, that's something to keep in mind, you know, and I feel like, again, COVID had to have affected this, you know? I mean, obviously, I don't even know if these bonus episodes would exist without it. Like, what would they have been? That's an interesting question that I'm going to pose. Like, what would these episodes have looked like if COVID hadn't happened? If we had just had our normal season 10 ending a year ago at this time, and then the fall of 2020 was the beginning of the 11th season, or would they have done the bonus? Like the bonus episodes is they've never done it for any of the seasons. Like it's a season 10 exclusive. All right. So I don't know. I don't know how they would have explained this information, how it would have come out if we had a regular schedule. But all I know is whether it's the fucking pandemic or just a shitty director / writer, this was just a really bad episode. And I have to give it that score. And I'm always the one to look for the bright spots in The Walking Dead, and I highlighted a few of them, but like, this is just inexcusable. All right, and I gotta let my voice be heard on this, and yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I might do a preview vlog later this week. Also, I kind of forgot about that series where I was doing the retrospective. I'm gonna do part 2. There's one video in particular that I want to watch where I like how I used to film YouTube videos on a freaking camcorder. I'm interested in watching that back and doing my reaction to that. So I'll probably record that tomorrow night and then upload it, you know, whenever the hell I feel it's spaced out enough from this review. So yeah, man, completely disappointed with this episode, and I really hope that Here's Negan is good. I mean, it's the last bonus episode. It's the one everyone's been waiting for. I really hope it's good next week. I'm gonna be. It's probably like the one I was hyped for the most. I mean, when I kind of saw the list. So that's all I got. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later. Peace out.